here's the last lesson of Module 4. This is Lesson 5. Apply operations with multi-decimals. So we have already done everything we need for this. We're just putting them all together. So there's going to be an addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in here. So let's see what we remember. We're going to start right up here in the first one. Let me zoom in a little bit and focus. Oh, there we go. So when we're adding or subtracting, we need to make sure we line up the decimals. So I have 10.26 plus 7.55. My decimals are lined up. I'm going to go ahead and move my decimal down so I don't forget it. And now I'm just going to add like normal. 6 plus 5 is 11. So I put down my 1 and I carry 5, 6, 7, 8. You get 7 and a 1. At this point, if you're not doing with me, you can check your answer on a calculator. Okay, here, let's see. This is subtraction. Make sure you are checking out that sign so you're not doing the wrong thing. I have 1.2, and then down here, I'm going to put my decimal in. I have a 0, and then a 5, and a 1, and I'm subtracting. Up here, you need to put a 0. You have to put a 0 if you want to get the right answer. And we're going to bring that decimal down. Borrowing. I am going to start with this 2. I'm going to make it a 1, and I'm going to make this a 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. I cannot do 1 minus 5, so I'm going to go over to this 1, make it a 0, and bring my 1 over. 11 minus 5 is 6. So there is my answer. If you want to check it, you just type that into your calculator. So 1.2 minus 0.51, and that's the answer that you get. Our next one, multiplication sign. So 5.5 times 1.3. I'm going to start by just multiplying. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry my 1. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16. Okay, we're done with that 3. I'm done with that. I'm going to move to my next row. When I move to my next row, I have to put a 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 5 is 5. At this point, I'm adding them together. So I have 5. 11, and 7. We are not done at this point. At this point, we have to put in our decimal, and we have to figure that out. Let me grab a cool color to do that with. So up here, we have 1 spot behind the decimal. Here, I have 1 spot behind the decimal. That's a total of 2. So 1, 2, it's going to go right there. So 7.15. For this next problem, I know that I have to turn my paper this way. Otherwise, I write too large. So, first number goes underneath. Sorry that I'm hitting that with my pen. I have a decimal here, so I'm going to move it over once. If I move that one once, I have to move this one once, and I'm going to bring it up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. First thing, can 55 go into 1? Nope. Can 55 go into 15? Nope. But 55 can go into 158. If you need to use your calculator, do that. You get a whole number of 2. 55 times 2 is 110. When I subtract that, I get 48. I have to bring down that 1. Sorry, he's kind of like in there a little bit. So be careful with how you... Okay, we need to see how many times 55 can go into 481. To do that, we're going to take 481 divided by 55. And it gives us a whole number of 8. So we're going to put an 8 right up there. So 55 times 8 gives us 440. We get 41. Drop down our 8. So 418 divided by 55. I get 7. 55 times 7 is 385. 418 minus 385. is 33. Since we have some left over here, we have to add a 0 and drop it down. 330 divided by 55 is 6. So 28.76. Anytime, like when we just had that 33 right there, you cannot have remainders, so you have to add a 0. If you have leftover remainders down here, you have to add zeros till they go away. Okay, let's look at Harold. Harold bought 3.5 pounds of apples that cost $1.79 per pound. So what we need out of there, important things, 3.5, $1.79. How much did Harold spend on the red apples? So we are 179 times 3.5. And then it continues, 179 times 3.5. And it continues over here. Estimate, we're not going to estimate. And we're going to solve it right here. So 1.79, times 3.5. 5 times 9 is 45. 35 plus 4 is 39. 5, 8. We are done with that row. We're going to move down to the second row. Before we start, we're going to add a 0. 3 times 9 is 27. 21, 22, 23. 3, 4, 5. We're going to add these together. 5, 16, 12, 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, the question was, how much did Harold spend? When we do money, we only have these two places after the decimal, not this one. So this guy is going to tell the 6 to go up to a 7. So $6.27. So that's how much he spent on it. Let's look at this one. Tavon hikes 6.1 miles in 2.5 hours. Tavon says that he can find out how fast he hiked by subtracting. His error. He should be not subtracting. We have to figure out what he's supposed to do instead. Okay, so we should not be subtracting because that's not how we are going to figure out how many he can do. So, right expression Tavon could use to find how fast he hiked. So what we're going to do is we are going to be dividing so we can figure out how much he did. So we're going to do 6.1 divided by 2.5 so we can figure out how much he did in 1 hour. So down here, I have 6.1 goes inside, 2.5 goes on the outside. I go 1, 1. There's 2 spots. 25 cannot go into 6, so I can go into 61 twice because that's 50. Add a 0, drop it down. 25 can go into 110 4 times because that's 100. We get a 10. Add a 0, drop it down. 25 goes into 100 4 times. So let's figure out our label here. Miles per hour. So MPH. So 1 hour, he went 2.44. Okay. Check understanding. The area of a rectangle is 69.75 square inches. The rectangle has a length of 9.3. What is the width? Okay, so you guys might not remember this, but to find the area of a rectangle, the formula is area equals length times width. Yes, my L looks weird. It's a cursive L. And once we get into geometry, I'll explain to you why it looks that way. So, what we're going to do, instead of multiplying, we are going to be dividing so we can find the other side. So I'm going to take 69.75 divided by 9.3. I go 1, 1. I can't put anything here. I wrote it too tall. I am seeing that. I can't put anything there. So I'm going to take 697 and I'm dividing it by 93. My whole number is a 7. So I'm going to take 93 times 7 and I get 651. When I subtract that, I get 46 and I drop down my 5. I'm going to take 465 and divide it by 93 and I get a 5. Sorry that I wrote up too high. I hope you guys didn't do that. But I got 7.5 there and I'm going to rewrite it. And I'm going to label that in inches. So the width is 7.5 inches. 2. 3 friends are going camping. They buy a pound of raisin costing $2.93 and a half pound of nuts for $3.75. What operation should you use to find the total cost? Total is telling me I need to add it. So we are adding, and now we're going to add it down here. Remember, when we add with decimals, we line them up, and this one's not a terrible one to line up because everything matches up. Drop that decimal down. I get an 8. I get a 16 and a 6. So it cost $6.68. Oops, sorry. The price of a gallon of gasoline is this right here. And I know we just talked about a little bit earlier in this lesson that it only has 2 spots. A lot of the times with gas, you're going to see that. How much does it cost to fill up an empty 12.5 gallon gas tank? We're going to write an expression you could use to find the total cost. So if it's that much and I need to fill up that much, I'm going to be multiplying these two together. And we're going to round to the nearest whole cent. Unfortunately, these are not fun numbers to multiply with, but we're going to get over it and we're going to do it. Write in nice, neat handwriting so you can keep it lined up, because we're going to go down 3 rows here. We get 45, 44, 19, and 11. So I'm done with that row. I'm moving down. Put my 0. We get 18, 16, 17, 6, 7, and a 4. Done with that one. So move down to our last row. Once we go to the next row, we're going to add 2 zeros. But it's just a 1, so this one will be quick. We have 9, 8, 3, and a 2. 5, 12, 9 plus 7 plus 9 plus 1 is 26. 10, 17, 18. 8, 9, and a 2. Now, if you cannot keep your numbers lined up, this is going to turn out horribly for you. So you need to make sure, nice, neat handwriting. If you can't do that without the use of lined paper, go get some graph paper. Let's put in our decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And up here it said round to the nearest whole cent. Money ends right here. The 2. Does it say, hey, 6, I'm too small, I can't make you round up? Or does it say, hey, 6, round up to 7? 2 is too small. We're going to stay at $29.86. And our last side, what do you remember? A sprinkler sprays 0.7 gallons of water per minute. So that's one number we need. If it takes 45 minutes to water a lawn, how many gallons of water does the sprinkler spray? So we need to figure out what operation that we are doing here. And so 45 minutes and this per minute. So we're going to be multiplying them per multiplication. So 45 times 0.7. 7 times 5 is 35. 28, 29, 30, 31. 1 spot behind the decimal. There's no decimals up there, so 1 spot here. And it's a word problem, so you have to label. So how many gallons? 31.5 gallons. Let's look at Petra. She buys a pair of jeans for $28.39 and a t-shirt for $6.40. How much does she spend? First off, let's pick out the important things. We have this and this. We want to find out how much she spends, so we're adding those together. $28.39 plus $6.40. I'm bringing my decimal down. 9, 7, 14, and a 3. So she spends $34.79. And the last one, a tailor spends $36.75 to buy 7.5 yards of satin. What is the cost of satin per yard? So I want to find out how much one costs. So what we're going to have to do is we're dividing them. I have a decimal on the outside, so I'm going to move it over once. Move this one over once. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. 75 cannot go into 6, nor can it go into 63. So 637, I know 75 can go into that. So I'm going to take 637 and I'm going to divide it by 75. I get a whole number of 8. That's exactly what I get on my calculator, but I only care about the whole number. So I'm taking 75 times 8, and I got 600. Get 37. This 5, we're going to bring him down. I'm going to take 375, and I'm dividing it by 75. I get an 5, because if I look at that, it goes in there evenly. So I know that 75 times 5 is 375. And I have an 8.5. We have to label that. So what is the cost of satin per yard? It is $8.50. And there you go. Last problem of this lesson.